Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is a live stream. I mean, that is done, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. Just do a quick kirtan. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Ate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Na Pristhaya Bhutale Ate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Desatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravata Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya हरे नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यो मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनेति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिसे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्ण भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताक्षं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Amresh Prabhu, Gita Mataji, Nabya Mataji, Binti Mataji, Shweta Mataji, Hina Mataji. So thank you all very much for joining our Kathāmṛtam session. Thank you all. We are coming to all of us to speak some glories of Lord Krishna and his dear devotees. So it's always a fortune to come together and hear and share some pastimes of Lord, because these are not the words like any other words. This is really coming in the parampara. This is the really words coming from Vasudev. This is words coming from Sudhir Goswami and all the acharyas. All our acharyas have given so many commentaries. How do you really understand each of the verses, each of the words, or each of the letters of this Amala Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, this spotless Purana? Only a devotee being surrendered to another pure devotee can really release this subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have been discussing from the first chapter of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Advent of Lord Krishna. And here we saw that how Bhumi Devi approached Brahma, and then Brahma, along with all the devatas, they approached Lord Vishnu on the bank of Sutadev for the protection of the humanity, because it is overburdened with so many military forces. And then Lord, with his causeless mercy, he transmitted the message to the devatas through the heart of Brahma. So we're discussing that how precious to have Lord's darshan. Even Brahma could not have the direct darshan of the Supreme Lord. Lord appeared in his heart. So we cannot demand the Lord that, okay, Lord, please appear in front of me. Lord reveals, Swayam Spurati Adaha. Lord reveals himself within the heart of the pure devotees. And through the heart of the pure devotees, he reveals, he transmits the message to everybody. And then how Lord instructed Brahma that, okay, please tell all the devatas to appear around Yaduvansa so that they can really assist me in my service. I'm soon going to appear. I know about it. It's not that only you are telling me about the difficulties that is appearing. Lord knows, Lord, as a Paramatma, he knows whatever is happening. So he knows the difficulty that everybody is going through. And then all the devatas, they went back. Brahma went to his abode, Brahmalok. And then Sukadeva Goswami started talking about changing the scene to Mathura, where this beautiful marriage was happening of Vasudev and Devaki. And with his brotherly affection, Kamsa, he wanted to drive the chariot of Vasudev and Devaki. We hear that how Devaka, the father of Devaki, he gave so many things as a gift, as a dowry to his daughter. And then, as the custom, and also especially Kamsa was very affectionate to Devaki. He said, okay, let me drive the chariot and I will take you to your in-laws' place. But then everybody knows that how Kamsa is such a demoniac, cruel person. And especially Devatas knew very well. And they were thinking that how come if Kamsa started showing so much of affection to his sister, then definitely Lord is not going to appear. So to show the real mood of Kamsa, they gave that Akasvani, that is Astamagarva of your sister Devaki will be the cause of your death. And Srila Prabhupada writes at that moment how that brotherly affectionate got transformed into the demoniac behavior of Kamsa. So that's why those behaviors or those instances really test a person, whether a person is a devotee or a demon. Externally, somebody might do something, but he might do something as long as there is a sense gratification for him, as long as it is good for him. But then as soon as some unfavorable situations or some provoking situations come, and then they started showing the real Swarupa. Like we'll hear, so many pastimes later on as well. Like how Putana, she would come in the form of a beautiful lady, but then when Lord wanted to sour the choicest things upon her by pulling out the life air, from that milk, she showed her real form. Or even the Kesi, or all the demons that would come to Vrindavan. So similarly, Kamsa showed his real form, and then he started opening the sword and about to chop the head of Devaki. And at that point of time, of course, Devaki, she was really happy. She was really feeling that bliss that, oh, from my womb, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is going to appear. Is there any auspicious or any better thing that can happen to me? Definitely not. So she was overwhelmed with ecstasy. She had completely forgotten worries. She was completely oblivious to what was happening. But then Vasudev, he was not really, yes, he was also happy, but then he was not completely absorbed in the future, but he was also thinking what to do in the present moment. He was seeing that how the sword is really on top of Devaki's head. And at that moment, very beautifully, Vasudev started approaching Kamsa. We just gave a glimpse of it last time. And what he said, there is a very beautiful verse. Okay, so this is the, I think, the verse. Okay. This is from, yes, Kamsa was a condemned personality in the Vasudev dynasty because he was envious and sinful. Therefore, upon hearing this omen from the sky, he caught hold of his sister's hair with his left hand and took up a sword with his right hand to sever her head from her body. Tam jugupsita karmanam risamsam nirpatratam Vasudeva Mahabhaga Uvacha Parisantavyam. So here, Sukadeva Goswami is saying Vasudev is Mahabhaga. How can it happen that Vasudev is a Mahabhaga? Like, how can, like, his wife is about to be killed? Vasudev is saying that, he's the most fortunate person. He's a great fortunate, father of Vasudeva. Why he is saying so? Then here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that, yes, wanting to pacify Kamsa, he was so cruel and envious that he was shamelessly ready to kill his sister, the great soul ball. Vasudev was the father of Krishna, spoke to him following words. So, Prabhupada describing, why Sukadeva Goswami is addressing or telling Vasudeva as a Mahabhaga. Yes, Vasudev, why? Because he wanted to be the father of Krishna. Is described here as Mahabhaga, a very upright and sober personality. Because Kamsa was ready to kill Vasudev's wife, Vasudev remained order, sober and unagitated. In a peaceful attitude, Vasudev began to address Kamsa by putting forward reasonable arguments. Vasudev was a great personality because he knew how to pacify a cruel person and how to forgive even the bitterest enemy. One who is fortunate, never caught even by tigers or snakes. Very beautifully, Srila Prabhupada is telling what is the quality. Like we saw the quality of Kamsa, how he got provoked, but then how Vasudev is so sober, how he is so unagitated during these difficult circumstances. And here Srila Prabhupada is saying that how he is Mahabhaga, he's the greatest fortunate person because he knew how to pacify a cruel person and how to forgive even the bitterest enemy. And most importantly, of course, he was a father of Lord Krishna. And then the next sloka is very nice. What Vasudev is saying, Slaghanya guna sureir bhavan bhoja yasakshara so katham bhaginim hanya striyam udvaha parvani. So he's saying that Vasudev said, my dear brother-in-law Kamsa, you are the pride of your family, the Vasudev dynasty, and great heroes praise your qualities. How could such a qualified person as you kill a woman, your own sister, especially on the occasion of her marriage? So here, what is happening? We'll come to know about this, how Vasudev is trying to pacify Kamsa. And how he's trying to pacify Kamsa. So he will be using this principle called Sama and Veda. This is and also Nyaya. And how in this verse specifically, what is he doing? First of all, he's glorifying. He's doing Guna Kirtana, like they say like, oh, you are crest jewel of the Bhoja dynasty. Oh, you are related to the Bhoja dynasty. And it speaks so high of, people speak so high about this dynasty. And he's talking about that, okay, why you want to kill your sister? By not killing sister, right, you will get the fame of following the dharma. And later on also she will tell that how, this Devaki, though she's sister, but she is like your daughter. This is typo here. And then also, yes, I want to receive this favor from you. So in this principle of Sama, like Sama means like pacifying, really glorifying, right? Or really, like sometimes we meet somebody in a train, then we start talking about, oh, do you know that person? Oh, I am from that village. Or do you know he's working in, we are working in the same company. No, we don't know, oh, do you know who I am? Like, we try to give, different ways to connect with each other. So like here, what do we see? Kamsa is really being addressed as a crest jewel of the dynasty. Here Vasudev is really addressing him, really glorifying him. What is glorifying him? Slaghanya guna surer. You are the person who is who is praiseworthy. You have so many good qualities. And then how can you bhagini mhanyat? How you can really kill your sister? And that too at the time of the marriage. Just her marriage has happened. It doesn't befit you. And at that point of time, right? Like, do you think Kamsa stopped by just hearing some glorification, understanding his identity, and the identity of this sister, how he should behave? No, that didn't stop. Then going forward, then he started speaking, little bit more in terms of okay, what he speaks in the next verse after pacifying. After glorifying, he says that, oh great hero, one who takes birth is sure to die. In this next verse only, he's saying, for death is born with the body. One may die today or after hundreds of years, but death is sure for every living entities. So here, last time we discussed about this, how Vasudev is now giving this philosophy of Janma and Mrityu. Whoever has taken birth is going to die. And you are the soul, not the body. Why you are worried to be killed? And Jata se hi dhruvam mrityu, dhruvam janma mrityu secha. Whoever has taken birth, he will die. And whoever has died, he will take birth again. So in various ways, he is trying to like pacify, right? How can I really stop Kamsa and really, from killing, Devaki? And then last time we discussed like how Vasudev gives a couple of examples. Like he was talking about that, right? Like a person, like how the reincarnation happens. He gives that example of a person walking. Once first you take the left foot, right? And then, right, you go forward and then you put the left foot on the ground, and then you take the right foot, and then you put the right foot on the ground, and then you. So he was trying to say that yes, you take this body, and after you die, you take another body. Why should we really worried about this body, which is really made up of these 5 elements? Last time in our right on Sunday session also we talked in detail about this death, right? Death, like once upon the death of the person, like yes, this panchabhuta, it really gets mixed once again, but then the subtle body, right, it really carried forward to the next body, and depending on the consciousness, right, that we have in this body, it really carries it to another body. So here Vasudeva is saying that don't carry this hatred, and don't do this sinful activity, so that you will create more sin in your subtle body, right? And that you will carry, and that you will suffer. Don't do that. So don't. I'm asking you so that you don't have to suffer, because with that you are planning to kill an innocent sister, innocent woman, and especially you are the king, like pressed jewel of the Bhoja dynasty, and doesn't befit you, to kill a woman, right? People will, really not speak of high about you, right? And similarly, right, like he continues, Vasudev, he continues to give this philosophy, um, like what he says next. Yes, when this present body turns to dust, it again reduces to 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The proprietor body, the living entity, automatically receives another body of material elements according to his fruitive activities. And the next body is obtained, he gives up the present body. Like how Prabhupada talks about Dehinosmini Yatha Dehi, all of you heard this. But yes, we hear this principle of body and soul, but it is very difficult to realize it, because as you saw that Vasudeva was talking about this reincarnation principle, but it was not going to the head of Kamsa. It was not going to the heart of Kamsa, because its knowing is not enough, right? Are we really applying that principle in our life or not? So here Vasudeva is continuing. Just as a person traveling on the road rests on one foot on the ground and then lifts the other, or as a worm, he gives another example also. He gives different analogies. That as the worm on a vegetable transforms itself to one leaf and then gives up previous one. So like how the worm, from leaf moves from one leaf to another leaf, or one fruit to another fruit or vegetable. The conditioned soul takes shelter of another body and then gives up the one that he had before. And then, having experienced a situation by seeing or hearing about it, like this process of reincarnation, one contemplates and speculates about that situation. Thus, one surrenders to it, not considering his present body. Similarly, by mental adjustment, one dreams at night of living one different circumstances and different bodies and forgets his actual position. Under this process, one gives off his present body and accepts another. So here he gives another analogy of the dream. Especially, which is real? Is it dream state, the swapna stage, or this susuti stage, like the wake up stage? Because in the dream state also, like especially during the before the exam and so on, right? Like we get so scared, and some of you might have realized that still now, right? We get this dream of having the exam next day. And then we really get scared. We really get scared. And then we really feel that palpitation, sweating of body, even in the dream, right? Or some people, they say that, oh, I really got married to my dream girl. Or I got a big golden mountain, right? What they do in the dream, they put this gold and mountain, put it together, and they build a golden mountain. And you really feel that, you really have those emotions, right? And can you say that dream is not true? It is true, because you have those emotions coming out of your heart, out of your consciousness, right? And then, like, once somehow you wake up from your sleep, and then of course your dream, right, goes out, and then they wake up the body, then you feel like you're another body, right? You go through, you do as your role as a mother or as a father or a son or a brother, right? You do go through that activity. So which is real, the swapna or the this jagruti state, like where we are really awake and doing things? It's just we are moving from one state of body to another state of body. Similarly, now we are in this state of body, and once you die, we'll get another body. So why to worry about birth and death? We should not be worried. So how here beautifully Vasudev is really giving this example of this reincarnation. He's explaining with so much analogy that how a sober person is not bewildered by the process of death. And then, like you remember last time also we discussed about that girl who was trying to distribute to that banker, and how that banker just at the right time realized, yes, Lord, sometimes creates some difficult situations through which you realize this process. And he's continuing. At the time of death, according to thinking, feeling, and willing of the mind, which is involved in fruitive activities, one receives a particular body. In other words, the body develops according to the activities of the mind. Changes of the body are due to flickering of the mind, for otherwise the soul could remain in its original spiritual body. Last time also, we discussed about little antakale cha mamiva smaranmukta, like whatever the consciousness we have at the time of death, we get that kind of body in the next life. So he's continuing, like when the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, they appear to be different shapes, sometimes round, sometimes long, and so on, because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, when the living entity, the soul, is absorbed in the materialistic thoughts, he accepts various manifestations as his own identity because of ignorance. In other words, one is bewildered by mental concoction because of the agitation, from the material modes of nature. So here, there's a very nice, like you see how our acharyas, and they give so many analogies for us to really understand, to really understand these concepts. So they're giving the example that, okay, you see a pond or a lake, and then you see the reflection of a moon, right? The moon is still, right? But then with the waves of the water, it seems that the moon is also, right, like, being floating in that water with the different shapes and so on. So though the moon is really in the sky, steady and diffusing beautiful moonlight. Similarly, how like the soul really, is Sachidananda. He's a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He is always full of knowledge, full of bliss. Is eternal. But then once it gets contact with this material body, which is of this Panchabhuta, this nature, right? And then he also, the soul also, right, gets in touch with this so-called pleasure and the so-called sorrows, the happiness and sorrow, right? And the success and failure, all the dualities. And we also feel that, we also, apparently we feel some pleasure, apparently we feel some sorrowness, but then a sober person knows that, like, like it is just it's all due to the contact with the modes of nature. Yes. Sober person is not, bewildered by these dualities, and that's what we will hear. And in this 2.14 in Bhagavad Gita, also the same verse, right? Matra svarsastu kaunteya sutasna sukha dukkada agama paina nitya stamti sava bharata. How a person who is really sober, it tolerates, the dualities that come across in our life. Because as long as we have this material body, these dualities are bound to come. So how a devotee is not bewildered by this effect that is coming from the modes of nature. So continuing, Vasudev is really now continuing the philosophy that how we should be really also, Vasudev, we should, like Vasudev is telling Kamsa, you should be afraid of, right, the impious activity, the sinful activities, because if you do some sinful activities, you will have to suffer. He's saying that, therefore, since envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? Considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone. For an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or in the next. You see how beautiful lesson Vasudev is giving. He's saying that, if we are envious of somebody, it means that we are having a coal in our body, and then we are not only suffering in this life, but because of our enviousness, we commit some sinful activities, some impious activities. We suffer not only in this life but also in the next life as well. So why do you really commit this impious and all these sinful activities? Why don't you really really do good for others, right, and serve others, because that is the nature of the living entity. Jivare Sarupo hai Krishna Nitya Das. How Gopi Vart Kamala Pada Kamala Das Dasa Dasa no Das. The property of the living entity, the characteristics of the living entity is to serve, not to really have all these impurities in our heart. So, how beautiful Vasudev is really giving this philosophy. What do you think? All this philosophy is really working? And Kamsa is really going to hear all these principles. And now, like, see how he's trying. He's tried Sama, he's pacifying, glorifying, right, giving that different connection. And then he tried to put the Veda in terms of that fear, right? And now once again, at the end also, he's trying to put a little bit more Sama, pacifying once again a little bit more. Like usually put it in a sandwich, right? Like, initially we glorify, then you give some heavy message. At the end also, we try to give a little bit more sweet message. So here Vasudev is saying once again, oh, Esa tavanuja vala kripana putrikopama hantum narasya kalyanim imam tvam dinavatsala. Yeah. Like here, Tava Anuja Vala, as your younger sister, this poor girl Devaki is like your own daughter and deserves to be affectionately maintained. And you are merciful. I think this is too much, right? Sometimes you might feel that, oh, is it Vasudev is really exaggerating, the nature of Kamsa, by calling him a Dina Vatsala. You are the friend of the poor, or you are so very compassionate to the poor and innocent people. And so here, of course, our acharyas give a lot of commentaries, why Vasudev, is using this word called Dina Vatsala. Yes, Dina Vatsala, one meaning is that who is really maintainer or the friendly to the poor people, to the Dina, to the fallen people, to the poor people. But then, Vatsa also means calf, calf. And here, Dina Vatsala means, like a person who really takes away the calf of even a poor person. He's so cruel. That's another meaning that our, especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is our one of the Rasika Acharya, is really, using it how we can really understand. So we saw that like Sama, Veda, and Sama, right? That's how like he is using the different ways. We talked about Sama, and then we talked about how Veda, like Vasudev tried to create that fear of doubt, fear of how we should not do the sinful activity, and if you might try to kill, and because he is also related to Devaki as like not like direct sibling, right? Like Kamsa's father is Ugrasena, and Devaki's father is Devaka, and because you are of also two siblings from two different fathers, that could be a family fight. So please don't do all that, right? And then of course we heard the beautiful philosophy, the logic through which he tried to pacify. Okay, so next, right, we'll hear this beautiful principle, right, from now Vasudev. Okay, so here Sukadeva Goswami is saying, what is saying? Evam sa samabhi vedai bodhyomanapi daruna na anya vartata kauravya purusadan anobrataha. So Sukadeva Goswami continued, oh waste of the Kuru dynasty, like he's saying to Parikshit Maharaj, Kamsa was fiercely cruel and was actually a follower of the Rakshasas. Therefore, he could not be neither pacified nor terrified by the good instructions given by Vasudev. He did not care about the results of the sinful activities either in this life or the next. So Vasudev tried. What he tried? Sama and Veda. Trying to glorify him and try to really scare him, create that fear, create that doubt that don't do that sinful activities. But he's a demon. How can he really, a demon, listen to these good words of the Vasudev that is coming out? And then what happened after that? Nirbandham tasya tam gyatva vichintya anakadundhuvi praktam kalam prativyodhum idam tatrava pavadyata. So when Vasudev saw that Kamsa was determined to kill his sister Devaki, he thought to himself very deeply. So Vasudev started thinking deeply that yes, now I have to do something because now there is imminent danger of the death. So he thought of another plan to stop Kamsa. So here, one name of Vasudev is Anakadunduvi. Anakadunduvi is what? And the meaning is that especially when Vasudev was born, during his birth, like it was so much of auspicious sounds that came out, right? Like with the trumpet and the bugle and so on, right? So because it really created so much auspicious sounds, definitely there cannot be any inauspiciousness in the life of Vasudev. And then how Vasudev, he's so determined. He didn't think that, okay, I tried my best, now leave it, rest to Kamsa, let him do whatever. No, he's keep on trying. What he is trying? Okay, let's hear the next verse. He's saying that as long, this is a very beautiful thing, right? As long as he has intelligence and bodily strength, an intelligent person must try to avoid death. This is the duty of every embodied person. But if death cannot be avoided in spite of one's endeavors, a person facing death commits no offense. Once again, this is a very nice learning that yes, we don't just give up, that okay, there is some danger, that okay, anyway we are not this body, let's not take care of this body. No, right? We have to take care. And here was like Sudhir Goswami is saying that an intelligent person is that he who tries to delay this process of death as much as possible, because with this body, because this is like a boat, this helps us in taking closer to the Supreme Lord. And we have to really maintain this boat. We have to really maintain this body. We cannot just give up our body. And there are so many beautiful pastimes there in Mahaprabhu's Leela as well. Maybe sometimes we'll discuss, because Gaur Purnima is coming very soon. It's just not tomorrow, it's the next Friday, that's 18th. So one of the pastime, one of his associate, like his name is Sanatan Goswami, he had some itching in the body, and and a lot of pus and everything was coming out because he had taken bath while he was traveling from Vrindavan to Puri in some contaminated water. And but Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahiyanya, is the Supreme God himself. And he had this beautiful, beautiful form. And at the same time, whenever he used to see Sanatan Goswami, his dear associate, he used to come and really embrace him. And seeing that, Sanatan Goswami, he was feeling so guilty that, I am so sinful, that my body is so contaminated with so much of pus in the body, and I'm causing so much of, dirty things, to the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I should really give up my body. I should not really keep this body. And thinking, he was thinking like this. And then Mahaprabhu realized, and told him later that, oh Sanatan, don't consider that this body belongs to you. This is my body, and I want to preach this message of God, this love of Godhead, through your body. So you should not consider this as your body, and you want to do anything that you want. And once again, Mahaprabhu embraced, Sanatan Goswami, and all his bodily imperfections went away, and it glowed like earlier. Right? Of course, there are so many beautiful pastimes how Mahaprabhu really ensured that, that how we have to also take care. We have to do the needful. We have to do the needful. We cannot be just irresponsible. So here we hear that how beautifully, like Sukdev Goswami is telling about the quality of Vasudev, how he is trying his best. He is trying again and again, so that how can he delay the death? And then Vasudev considered, by delivering all of my sons to Kamsa, who is the death personified, I shall save the life of Devaki. Perhaps Kamsa will die before my sons take birth, or since he is already destined to die at the hands of my son, one of my sons may kill him. For the time being, let me promise to hand over my son so that Kamsa will give up this immediate threat. And if in due course of time Kamsa dies, I shall have nothing to fear. You see the heart of a father. Right? Can anybody really would like to hand over a small child to a demon to kill? But at that point of time, so they felt that, okay, there is no other way. Yes, he tried many ways. He was determined to support, to during this process. He was determined to come up with the newer and newer ideas through the Sama, through the Veda, but he was not successful, because most of the times when some difficulties comes, right, we become really morose, we really lose hope. But Vasudev showed, during this time of a difficulty, how a devotee is determined, to try again and again and try again and again. And at the same time, right, he also acted. It's not that, okay, Lord Krishna, now you take care of it. He took the decision, right? Okay, I'll do something now, at least through which I can really save my wife, because in whatever the situation it could be, like, yes, who knows that if there will be a son or not, or if even if a son comes, then definitely, if it is told by this Akashvani, definitely he will kill Kamsa, right? Why to really worry? Then once he's going to kill Kamsa, means definitely that child will be awake. So now how he took that responsibility of taking that decision, and at the same time he had that hope, and he had that faith in the Supreme Lord's plan. Not that, okay, I'm because I'm not able to save, I'm not a failure. Because most of the times you try again, and if it didn't work, then we really feel, okay, I'm good for nothing. We lose the hope, we become hopeless. But at that time, how a devotee is really depends on the destiny, depends on the Supreme Lord, depends on the plan of the Lord, and how he's a diligent. He really trying again and again, and if needed, a devotee uses diplomacy, right? Not for saving himself, or to really cheat somebody, using the diplomacy to really please the Lord, to save devotees of the Lord, right? So whatever is needful, a devotee does that. Similarly, there are so many, once again, pastimes, like of Srila Prabhupada also, the way he has shown, with his example as well, right? Especially in Bombay, when Prabhupada wanted to set up a temple, and then he got a land near Juhu Beach, and he got this land from a person called Mr. N. But then devotee signed the deal, but then this Mr. N created so many troubles, so many difficulties, so many challenges, and he was not handing over that property. And whenever they hand over the property, but still he was sending the ruffians and the gundas to really break the properties, whatever was there, and really fight with the devotees and so on. But then Prabhupada had gone to the deity that was established in a makeshift arrangement, and he prayed, oh Lord, I want to build a temple for you in this place. And he was so determined, and in spite of so much of difficulties, he was really diligently working day and night, taking so much of anxiety. Like a devotional life is not that, like, without anxiety. We see that how Prabhupada took so much of anxiety, either going from the India to the West and distributing there, in spite of so many people saying so many things, and or even in India as well, once he came back, right, how he faced so many obstacles to set up either a temple or to distribute books and things like that, right? And he had that faith, he had that hope that it is I'm doing it for the Lord's pleasure, and he had that complete faith that Lord is going to help us, Lord is going to organize everything for us, but we have to do our duty, because he had that mood of Arjuna in mind. It was when Arjuna's chariot driver was Krishna. So Krishna didn't tell Arjuna, oh Arjuna, now you go and rest in this chowni, in that camp, and I will take care of this battle. No, Lord is saying that, yes, I am there to guide you, to instruct you, but you have to fight. At times you have to face the blood that is coming out of your body and through the arrows of the opposite army, or at times even if it means your son to be killed, or so many associates to be killed. But then, yes, you have to be part of it. You have to take the responsibilities. You have to act on it. That's what it means. Like, a devotee can do anything to satisfy the Lord. A devotee can sacrifice anything, to satisfy, to please the Lord. That is a quality of a devotee. And here in this moment, why Vasudev is glorified so much, Devaki is glorified so much. You see the sacrifice nature of them. Not only every Janmashtami, every moment, all the devotees, talk about their sacrifice of Vasudeva and say what exactly they had not done, to have Krishna as their son. Because most of the times we want to have Krishna in our life, but we don't want to go through the difficulties or the sacrifice what Vasudeva and Devaki had undergone. Especially in Odisha also they say, Kasta kale Krishna mile. Like they say, like without once we have to go through the process. Like they say, right? Like if you want to be the sun, you have to burn like a sun, right? So if you want to be a devotee, also yes, we have to go to the purification process, right? Without undergoing the purification process, all the anarthas will not get burnt, and we'll hear that, right? Like how, right? One by one, right? They would be offering their 6 sons to Kamsa, and these 6 sons, who are they? These are the 6 anarthas: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. This lost anger, greed, illusion that is there, deep within the heart. Yes, as we really progress in our path of bhakti, because this bhakti is like Devaki, it's so subtle, so soft, and so common. But this demoniac mind, this it always wants to kill that bhakti. Oh, why you're doing this bhakti? Why bhakti is important? Why you to follow this Krishna consciousness? And that Kamsa of the doubt that is coming from this, impure mind, always wants to kill that bhakti. But at the time, how a devotee goes through it, try to pacify. Oh, why don't you do this? Like you see, so many devotees are, there and they are doing it. Oh, this process, this is singing, dancing, and feasting. Just do it. Okay, like then if that doesn't work, then there is some fear also you have to put it. Oh, if you don't do it, you will go crazy. How will you be able to go through the dualities of the life? And then once again you try to, just do it. Just wake up 15 minutes early in the morning, just chant your rounds. Okay, anyway, you are taking prasadam, just take Krishna prasadam. So how we have to also go through this process of this like Sama and Veda, right? Like whatever is required, whatever we have to do, right, to really engage our mind, our in this process of bhakti, and how we can be fearless at any moment that might come through in our life, with the determination, right? Vyasaitmika buddhi eki ha kurunandana, that nothing can distract us, nothing can deviate us, from the path of our devotional service. And yes, we should be decisive, we should not just leave that, okay, it's okay, it was the part of the destiny that we wake up today at 8 o'clock. What can I do? Right? Oh, it's a path of the destiny that I could not get any sattvic food. It's okay. No, like once I'm determined, right, and I have to work towards it. So that okay, I want to wake up early in the morning. I want to take sattvic prasadam. I want to associate with the devotees. I want to serve the devotees. I want to take shelter of the holy name, right? With that diligence, right, and with complete focus, complete determination, and then definitely, right, Lord is going to reciprocate with us as a matter of time. So, so here we learn these beautiful principles from Vasudev. What exactly the qualities of a devotee, how he undergoes through so many sacrifices. So this like Vasudev submitted his proposal to the sinful Kamsa with great respect, and then still you see the mood of Vasudev. What he was doing? Prasanna amboja risamsam nirapatrapam manasado yamanena vihasan idam abravit. Vihasan, like smilingly, prasanna vadam, like beautiful smiling face, he's speaking to Kamsa. What he's saying? Vasudev's mind was full of anxiety because his wife was facing danger. But in order to please a cruel, shameless, sinful Kamsa, he externally smiled and spoke to him as follows. So yes, sometimes either family members or colleagues or whoever, right? Like create the difficulties, and externally we have to do the needful, but internally, right? We should be really strict with respect to what we do. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says once again to one of his associates, like Raghunath Das Goswami, he says, Anta nishtha karo bahya loko vyavahar. Like externally, you have to just do the needful, whatever is required, taking care of your relatives or the formalities at office and so on. But then internally, within our heart, we should be strong in the process of devotional service, right? And it means that yes, to even your enemy, you have to smile and you have to speak. So what Vasudev said, oh, based on this sober, once again, how he's saying that Soumya, can you really, consider Kamsa as a Soumya? He's addressing Kamsa as a Soumya, oh, based of the server. You have nothing to fear from your sister Devaki because of what you have heard from the unseen woman. The cause of death will be her sons. Therefore, I promise that when she gives birth to the sons from whom your fear has arisen, I shall deliver them all unto you. So problem is not with Devaki, problem is the son. So don't worry about it. So as soon as we will have sons, we will hand it over to you. So you don't have to worry about it. So Sudhir Goswami, is saying that Kamsa agreed to the logical arguments of Vasudev, and having full faith in Vasudev's words, he refrained from killing his sister. Vasudev, being pleased with Kamsa, pacified him further and entered his own house. So once again here, Vasudev is telling that how Kamsa had so much of faith in Vasudev. He knew that this Vasudev is a man of words. How he really had so much of honesty and integrity, and he really believed the words that was coming from Vasudev. And then after hearing from Vasudev, then he got down from the chariot and then he went back to his kingdom, because even all the devatas and everybody were thinking that like the son of Vasudeva and Devaki is coming to establish dharma. Son of Kamsa and Vasudeva coming to establish dharma, and he will be driving the chariot of Arjuna to establish dharma. How can the parents of establishers of dharma will be the charioteer as a Kamsa, who is the adharma personified? That is also one more reason that Akasavani came, right? So that Kamsa will really get down from that chariot and then he will take a U-turn and go back. Right? Yes, and our acharyas give so many wonderful ways through which we can understand the different these pastimes and different this situations from the devotee's life. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue. There are so many beautiful examples, right? And so many beautiful prayers. How the devatas would be coming and offering to the womb of Devaki as now Krishna would be appearing. So next time we'll be discussing how definitely Kamsa will continue the atrocity, how Vasudeva will offer his sons to Kamsa, and Kamsa will continue his atrocities of killing all the sons. And then what will happen? Yes, this birth of Balaram and Krishna from the womb of Devaki. Right, and how all the devatas will come and offer their beautiful prayers, so the prayers of the demigods. So next time we'll be discussing about the prayers of the demigod. That's the second chapter of 10th canto that we'll be discussing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments from anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, here we learned about Vasudev, that he was not panicked. He handled the situation with very steadiness and he used all the Samdam to handle it. I have a confusion since morning after doing the Shloka 2.15, where Lord says that you need a steady mind. You should be tolerant to both happiness and sorrow in the correct way. You need to balance your emotions. But if I talk about myself or people like me, we carried away. We are happy, so we are very happy. We are stressed, so we get in depression. So
Correct.
how to bring that steadiness? If I want to implement that shloka in my life, how should I implement? How should I practice it?
Yes, yes.
That is my question. It is actually worrying me since morning. So I was actually waiting that I want to ask you this question. And Vasudev also reflected that same steadiness which Lord is telling in this shloka.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Very nice point, Mataji. So how do we really develop these divine qualities that Lord is expecting? Or how do you develop these qualities that devotees, the pure devotees are like showcasing it? And I was teaching my daughter the sound waves. And that sound wave, you must have remembered in the science class, right? And there is something called the wave. It goes through the sinusoidal curve, right? There's something called amplitude, and there is something wavelength, right? And then there's a frequency. The frequency is the number of waves that happens per second. So what happens, like as we pass through the time, as we go through, right, in our practice of devotional service over a period of time, right? Yes, our wavelength, right, and the frequency also is much higher with respect to our distraction, with respect to our not really following the qualities, getting all this anarthas, pouring out, but then over a period of time, what happens? That amplitude reduces and the frequency also reduces. First, it goes like this, and then over a period of time, right, it goes steady. So it doesn't happen that like, okay, we just take this process of devotional service and over time, right, all our anarthas, which is really, pouring out from our heart every day and every moment with so much of amplitude and with so much of frequency, right? Yes, it will take time, right? Just like, Prabhupada gives this example of fan, right? Yes, we switch off the fan, but automatically, just at that moment only, fan doesn't stop, it takes some inertia, and after some time, it really comes down. Similarly, we are in this process of purification, like as Vasudeva was showing that, and he will be showing that, yes, they got that Akasavani, that is so much faith. And after that also, they had to wait for 8 years to really, for the appearance of Lord Krishna. Till that point, they had to go through the difficulties. Similarly, right? Yes, yes, these dualities will come, and it might happen that we might really lose our temper, right? And the next time, right? Well, you would really at least now reflect. Oh, I should not have done it. At least, like I'm sure, right? Like the kind of thought that you are getting, definitely before coming to Krishna consciousness, you are not getting it. Now at least we have that thought. Okay, this is the quality of a devotee. This is what expected of a devotee. This is what Lord is saying to Arjuna, that what he should do, right? And then now it goes to our conscious mind, right? And then, right, next time it comes, it might happen that I might fail it once again, right? But then, right, like as I said, the distance and the amplitude, right, will reduce over a period of time. And that, how do you really get that strength? Yes, we really get that strength through the association of the devotees. As you take more shelter of the, the scripture, as you take more shelter of the holy name, as you more take shelter of the, the words that is coming from the sadhus, that once you have that faith, once you have be determined, and we should be to follow and to be diligent to follow these principles, definitely Lord will. The Lord is saying, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Like once you continue to practice this process of devotional service, in a bhajatam priti purvakam, in a loving way, in a sincere way, Lord will show us the intelligence. Lord will give us the path. Like as long as we are diligent and determined, our devotion, will be really steady. It will be really undeviated. So that should be our focus at this point of time. And then, yes, we should, over a period of time, definitely it will reduce.
Right.
Make sense, Mataji?
Thank you so much. Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna,
explaining so
Prabhuji.
beautifully.
Hare Krishna.
I had a realization in this matter, what Mataji has asked.
Yes.
the question. Actually, I felt that gradually, as we are practicing God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, initially in our initial status, we are getting conscious of our own.
Sorry, Sushma Mataji, like there is some noise there. Like, is it possible?
Acha, am I not audible clearly?
Yeah, there is some humming. Yeah, it's a little better now. Yeah, please go ahead.
Is it better?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, please.
When we are caught up in a turbulent situation where the two parties are, their argument is going on, and if we are even one of those parties, because of this consciousness, now I'm seeing this situation as a third person also, and not I'm on my own. And for instance, in today morning only, I had an argument with my husband, and he shouted. He in an angry way he responded, and I just smiled, and I thought I made him angry. I felt bad for him that I crossed one of his sentences, and he got angry. And then I said, Prabhuji, maaf karna. And then I got on with my work. And then I thought, what should I prepare for Krishna today? And I thought, Krishna, let me prepare suji ka halwa. I bought a new laddu Gopal for my temple. And I saw there was no suji. And so I thought, I will make atta ka halwa. And that is my husband's favorite. And I prayed Goddess Annapurna, this should be a good one. And it was really nice. I offered to Krishna and then my husband. And he must have thought I would have prepared for him and that was all, it was all, I behaved in a reasonable way. I didn't shout back. I just apologized. And I think we start seeing the situation from a third person point of view. And that really helped. This was my first experience and I was really happy today. And this is because of God's consciousness.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. It's a beautiful practical example, Mataji showed. Right, like whatever we spoke for 1 hour, Mataji spoke for 2 minutes and really said what is the quality of a devotee. Thank you, Mataji. Because this is how practically we can really apply these principles that we hear in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam in our own life, and not only make this current life perfect, but really we are preparing a better place for our next life as well. But the most beautiful thing is that our Acharya is saying that we are not giving a post-dated check that okay, beyond this life we'll go back to Godhead, but in this life itself we can really experience a beautiful world, a spiritual world, by focusing, by pleasing, by in the mood of serving the Lord, in the mood of serving the devotees of the Lord. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, or any reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Sweta.
Prabhuji, from today's session, I got my unclear doubts. It got resolved. And thank you so much for that, for giving me such clarity. And Prabhuji, I have one doubt that as you said, Prabhuji, Kashta kale Krishna mile. So it's like, is it applicable for all the devotees? Because I can make out for some devotees, this path is really like so blissful, so rosy path. And for some devotees, I don't know whether I am right or wrong. You correct me, Prabhuji. But from my point of view, I am just telling. And for some devotees, I am seeing that really they are struggling a lot. Though they are a strong believer of Krishna, then also they go through such difficulties. And for some devotees, everything is arranged properly. So apart from Prabhuji karma cycle, apart from the reactions of our karmas, is there any other reason, Prabhuji, that why some people had so so smooth platform and for some it is so rough path?
Very good question, Mataji. Like, yes, for a person who is not into Krishna consciousness, right, definitely karma plays a big role there. But a person who has already taken shelter of Lord Krishna, then karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Then karma doesn't play any role, right? Then really Lord takes care of him, or Lord takes care of her life. And then Lord sees that, okay, what is really now good for him or her, and accordingly, he will take that path. He will show us that path, right? And how, like, we always take this example of, right, like, this world is an hospital, right? Once you are getting admitted in the hospital, right, we cannot say that, oh, why this person or that person is giving red pill, or this what is it, saline of this one bottle only, or somebody is really have to be admitted for surgery, right? I don't know, I think Susma Matis is a surgeon, she can tell about it, right? So, like, it's not that one medicine, right, like, is applicable, to all, right? Depending on the disease, and depending on the severity of the disease, Lord knows what exactly is good for us, what exactly is best for us, right? Yes, sometimes we feel that, oh, right, why I'm suffering, and why somebody else is going through this process, but we should have that faith, that how even that Vasudeva and Devaki, who are there as a parents of the Lord, when they had to go through so much of difficulty. That's why Lord wants to show that through this process, that whoever we are, we have to put that process of sacrifice. Like we hear this Prahlad Maharaj pastime, or Draupadi pastime, or Pandavas pastime, or even the pastime of Srila Prabhupada, or like any devotees of the Lord. They really show with that example, like we had discussed earlier as well, that yes, like, of course, the pure devotees, they go through these difficulties, sometimes for their glorification, and we go through for our purification. And a devotee, yes, he accepts it as a token of mercy. Like it's he receives that, okay, if I would not have been Krishna consciousness, something so big would have happened, but now I'm in Krishna consciousness. At least now, I'm in the association of the devotees. I'm really trying to understand as it is, and I'm really so fortunate, to be in this process. So because
So
as long as we start comparing, with others, our heart, once again, as you said, feels, like empty. But then once you are grateful in any situation, then we really feel the presence and the hand of the Lord in any situation.
Because Prabhuji, naturally, it's maybe because of the consciousness, we tend to compare. Like I try to pacify myself. No, I should not compare. But as this young age, with compared to friends and all, sometimes like we get like this sense of comparison, like why this is happening. So for Prabhuji, like is that like we should be always grateful to God to overcome such kind of feelings, or like Prabhuji, is there any way you may guide?
As we heard today, Mataji, like once again from Vasudev, right? Like at that point of time, Vasudev would be thinking that, like, at least the others, the citizens of Mathura, they are so peaceful, they don't have to go through that what I'm going through, like, as a parents of Krishna, that, I had to sacrifice my sons, right? Definitely other citizens are more, fortunate in that way. But then, he heard that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just about to appear, and I would not mind going through so-called temporary phases of difficulties. Right? Our life is like, it's eternity, and this lifetime or this couple of years, it's just like a flash of time that we are going through. A devotee is not, so much disturbed, because now we have received this treasure of, the love of Godhead. So, like, yes, it is difficult. It is no doubt, right, very difficult to go through that phase. Like, definitely during that phase, even Devaki cried, or Vasudev, right, once he was handing over the child, right, definitely it was really paining to the heart of Vasudev as well. And they were not hard-hearted. Or even Arjuna also, when his son Abhimanyu got killed, right, he also dropped his tears. It's not that the devotee is hard-hearted, nothing really touches them, but then they understand the higher purpose, right? Yes, I am going through, but definitely there is a Lord's, higher plan. So how, we have to understand the higher plan. We have to really surrender and be determined and be diligent and continue to, right, have that faith in the Lord and continue to process. We have to do the needful, whatever is required. once again, we cannot run away from the responsibility. As Vasudeva was trying again and again in various ways, so that, right, he has to do as the husband of the role of a husband. Similarly, the role of a daughter or a mother or whatever the role that we have, we have to continue to do the best of our ability. And then Lord will show whatever way it is, and it's just a matter of time. Once again, Lord will manifest, the true jewel, the true treasure that is really waiting for us. Then
Yes.
Vasudeva and Devaki is just a matter of time. They are about to be glorified. Like, why Vasudeva? Because he's the father of Vasudeva. And then everybody calls as a Vasudeva. Everybody calls Devaki Nandan. It's just a matter of time. But till that point of time, they have to go through this process of sacrifice.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just wanted to add a few minutes. Sorry for delaying the session. The thought that she mentioned about gratitude, Mataji's mentioned. So what I do now is I start my day with gratitude. I say gratitude to the Lord for taking care of me during the night. Please help me throughout the day also, and guide me and lead me in case I try to do some mistakes. And of course, not that some things don't happen, but then I say maybe God saved me from something worse happening, and then I say thank you, God. And similarly, when something bad happens to others, I say, oh God, maybe they are not fortunate enough for somebody to guide them, and thank you for not putting me in that situation. The thought just comes maybe after joining this Krishna consciousness, and then I end my day also with gratitude. Thank you for saving me and helping me and my family throughout the day. Please take care of us during the night also. Some small, short gratitude. I do this every day, morning and night. And then that word gratitude she mentioned. So just that thought came to me. I thought I'll share it with you.
Very, very wonderful, wonderful process, Mataji. Like, it's always very important for us to connect to the Lord. Like, gratitude really makes our heart fertile, right?
Yeah.
Like we told that, right? Like, with that we are able to feel the presence of the Lord, because able to connect to the Lord. Oh Lord, you have doing so many things for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm hardly just insignificant soul, I'm not able to reciprocate what you give me. Just like any child, right? Like, offering a flower to the parents, that's really insignificant. But that act of, saying thank you to the Lord, act of offering flower to the Lord really pleases not only the parents, but also the child as well. His life is getting secured, through that process. He feels more centered in that process.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mataji, again, and Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for your guidance. I will really try to implement. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I think we are already running out of time. So for your information, this weekend we'll have some special program. On Saturday evening, we'll be sending you the message, of course. We'll be having a special session on Ekadasi. Like Ekadasi is one of the very special to the Lord. And we do, of course, the most important process is really feasting. How we'll really feast. How we'll do the feasting for our soul. We'll be discussing that. Feasting on fasting. That will be the theme. So why should we observe Ekadasi? How should we observe Ekadasi? What is Ekadasi? All this we'll be discussing on this Saturday evening. That will be online program. And then the Sunday, of course, it will be hybrid program. But the topic will be on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because as I said, 18th is Gaur Purnima. So we'll be understanding a little bit more about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. On Sunday evening on our regular session, we'll have some nice discussion about Gauranga Mahaprabhu.